Good evening. Welcome to the March edition of Your Questions Answered. I'm Michael, KB9VBR.
And I'm Joe, KD9CGX. Just to be clear, it's March 2022, not March 1989.
I purposely did not say the year.
Last month we did the intro, or we had a regular intro, but then he went back to get the
special one from the 70s.
Right. Now we're hitting the 80s. What's next? A Saved by the Bell 90s one? Maybe, I don't know.
Hey, we'll have to work on that. Who knows what'll happen? What'll happen next month?
If we're around next month, guys.
If we're around.
Our April 1st edition will be the End of the World show.
As we know it.
And I feel
fine. All right, people are starting to fill into the chat here, so we'll just kind of give a few shout outs as give people a second to kind of gathering. Our good old buddy 45 Auto, of course, is entering Wisconsin mode.
Howdy there, Ray.
Good. Alan's here. He's a regular. Good evening. And I know Alan's got a question. I started, so we'll get back to your question a little bit. Buddy Mike from the other side of town. Good evening for Andrew from Maryland. So
Maryland.
And there we go. The Scouts here up in Grantsburg.
There we go. So we're talking about 1989 and flashbacks.
Yes.
I got to mention this. I'm just looking at the background. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's XP. I have an XP laptop running right now back here. It's active desktop recovery. I can't get it out of that. And of course, what am I doing? Trying to install a driver for a serial cable, and it ain't working.
It ain't working. Oh, geez, Louise.
So let's talk about this for a second, guys. We all have old radios, right? We're not talking tube radios. We're talking the old radios that still require a Windows XP to program it. I have old Motorola's. Bless their hearts. They're great little radios. I use them for little projects. I'm building a APRS digipeater. And I just wanted to check the programming on it because I programmed it like 4 years ago. Last time I fired up this computer, I probably. And it's this old Asus netbook. It's got like 2 USB ports and, probably an 80 gig hard drive. I don't know. It's not much, but it runs XP. It runs XP. And that's what I need for these old Motorola's, old Radius. It's not so old that you need DOS. When I have a radio that needs DOS, I have a friend that actually has a laptop. It will boot from a USB, and he's got like a DOS shell that pops up from the USB, and it picks the actual Motorola software from the 90s and load on it. It's like it keeps it around. Oh yeah, what do you need? Oh yeah, I got the cable right here. Let's do that.
Got the cable.
I'm just like, holy crap. So, but if it's an XP one, I'll try to do it myself.
Some of those really old Motorola DOS programs wouldn't run on the faster first generation Pentium machines because they were too fast, and you had to slow down the clock cycles.
Otherwise,
yes. They would.
Yeah. Crash. So I guess what happened was Motorola, they had great engineers, but they had terrible programmers. So instead of like having a serial driver to go through, they just basically machine coded a serial driver into the application. So there's no driver. So anything newer than DOS 6.0, it will just crash and burn. It can't be anything faster than a 486. Kid you not. But if you have those old Radius or GM 300s, you can't run them. Some people say they have got them to run in a DOS box. I don't believe that. I've tried it and forget about it. You really have to have old 486 in order to run it.
I thought it too. The cables needed hardware interrupts, and the
Yes.
the software interrupts just don't cut it for that.
Right. Yeah, and it has to be a native 9-pin serial port. It can't be a USB to serial. It has to be a native 9-pin DB9 serial port. And try to find an old computer that runs DOS with its 9-pin serial ports.
I just threw a bunch out last week.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, you probably could make a mint, Everyone says that. Oh, I just threw that out. And I'm sure you did,
I took 5 old PCs out of my basement that Windows 95 that were just tucked back in the corner. I took them to the recycler. So
I can still pick them up at the recycler, right?
I think I have one left. So
you probably paid $40 a piece to recycle them. And then if I go there and I say I want one, they'll probably charge me 50.
45 cents a pound. So
we had an old iMac. Remember the old iMacs where it still had the tube, and the tube and the PC was all in one? And I bet you 10 years I took it in. It was dead. I took it in, and it was like $45-50 to get rid of it.
Holy sure. Smokes. I had 200 pounds of computer junk, and it was $100 bill.
Oh,
so
wow!
And one old television set. So.
Okay, well, bless its heart.
Yeah. We got some more people here. Instafax, Don WV1W from New England. We'll get back to you later, Don. Because we got something from him in the second half of the program. Tom up in Rhinelander.
He's up north there, hey.
Up north here, hey. Joseph from Newfoundland.
Good. All the way out around the East Coast.
Yeah, Tom from Minneapolis and St. Mary's, Ohio. Oh man. 45 Auto says 89 is the year I started grad school in Madison. So hey,
when did you start college in Madison?
I was there in 80. I started my my freshman year in 88. So
oh boy, you're in the same boat there.
Yeah, we're in the same. Yeah, we were there in the same time. I'd hate to know if you were one of my TAs or not.
Oh, come on. Everyone knows. You don't go there to be a TA in Madison, for UW Madison. You just go down there to sit on State Street and probably smoke pot.
That's the undergrad years. If you want to make it through graduate school, I think you have to teach a few classes. Otherwise, you can't afford it. So
right. Yeah, work study, baby. So I think one of my first years in college, I had a work study job in the chemistry stockroom. This is not the guy you want to put in charge of a lot of lethal chemicals. Okay, there was stuff there. I won't talk about it on the air, but there was a few close calls. You found what?
Well, guys, we should probably start getting into the questions. So if you got questions, drop them into the chat, and we'll answer as many as we can this evening. We also got some great stuff to talk about too, so we'll try to get through as much as we can. There, found another Madisonian, Gary W9PPY, lived in Madison. So,
I grew up just north of Madison, about an hour, so I'll call myself a Madisonian. My late teens, early 20s, I spent a lot of time down on State Street. Oh yeah. Playing pool, and late nights at Cunique, and then we'd go to is it the Parthenon?
Yeah, the Euro place.
Oh, Euro place. Oh my God! Then you go get like 2 of those at 2:00 in the morning. It's like that's the greatest thing ever. Oh,
I cannot confirm nor deny that I've done that. So
every time you go visit the daughter, you probably go do that.
Oh yeah, I haven't had one of their Euros in a long time, but. Alan asked a question in the chat. How do you transport your FT891 for POTA Parks on the Air? Purchased a Pelican case for my ICOM 7300. It works well. I can fit the radio, battery, power cord, mic, and coax. I know that I got here my totally disassembled bag with this is what I carry everything in, and then I keep the radio wrapped in a. I'm going to set this down because it's going to make a mess. I use this foam wrap. It's made by Domke, and I'll have to throw a link in the chat. But this is like 18 inches square, and then it's got Velcro on it, and it keeps everything nice and protected, so I can slide radio, the tuner, the analyzer, cables and whatnot in the bag. I usually carry the batteries separate. I don't put that in the same thing as the with the transceiver, because I've got like 2 or 3 batteries, so I grab the bag with the radios, I grab the battery, and then the big box with the antennas, and I'm good to go. So
right. So I used to I never used the Pelican cases. What I found, there was a individual nearby that was selling surplus military cases, and they were actually for like night vision goggles of all things. But they're about 18 inches wide and about 12 inches deep, and or width length, and about that deep. And then I went to a local Verlo mattress factory and got like some leftover memory foam, or like egg carton foam. And I just filled it in there, and I was able to. I've used one for like a FT100, 706 Mark II G. I had one in there. I had an 891 in there as well. That worked good, and I was getting for like 15 or 20 bucks with the foam and everything. So that's another way to do it. But the thing I've always thought that like whether you're using a Pelican case or you're going all out and you build like a Go kit with a like a 4U rack. That's a lot of weight.
Oh, it is. It is. It really is.
Then you add a battery and stuff, and holy smokes! So I'm more with Michael. I have a backpack. The $40 tactical backpack. I say tactical because if you put tactical on something, you can double the price on it. Now, like tactical backpacks go for like $100. It's insane. But what I've recently started doing is, and we're going to talk about this, and you had a great, is I went and got these flying canvas bags.
Oh, nice.
And usually I use these for work, and I'll keep wrenches and stuff in there, but I had a couple extra, and I keep the extra stuff, the cable, the programming cable, the microphone, all that extra stuff I put into that little canvas bag, and it sits in the backpack with my 897. So it's all together. Then I started doing, I put my HT stuff in here. So here's another one. This is for my FT3 AA pack.
Yep.
Charger. Here's a 120 volt charger. Speaker mic. I do have the 12 volt charger as well, but it's actually on the bench. So you have everything in one thing. So if you are going to go out, you just grab the bag and throw it in. Everything's in. That's great. So this is my commercial Kenwood radio. If I can do something Aries Races, because this has got the commercial, what we would use for fire, emergency, so on and so forth, in case we have to use those frequencies outside of the ham band. But you just grab it and go. It's all in there.
Yeah.
So something to think about. But yeah, the Pelican cases are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And especially if you got to store the radio, Pelican is great. But if you're out every weekend doing POTA, or if you got to walk,
yeah.
But there's different things for different people. All right, that's the nice thing about ham radio, right? So,
everybody's got their own style, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Just as long as you don't spend too much time with the packaging and it's not operating.
There you go. I know some people that do that too. Yeah, it's just Alan says the Pelican does add extra weight, but your radio is safe. I don't mind. Don't have to walk too far. So
that's the trade-off, is that it is a lot more of a solid case. I mean, drop it off a cliff, it'll survive. It's a Pelican, right? But the other thing too is, Harbor Freight. mean, that's almost as bad as word as Baofeng, right? But they have the Apache cases, which is like
Those
a
things.
fraction of the cost of Pelican, but people say they're just as good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was thinking of getting one of those, a couple of those. I need something to put like accessories, like extra microphones and other camera gear that
I
is a
think
little
you
bit
can
more
get
fragile. So,
3 or 4 of these at Home Depot for $30.
well, that's a good deal.
You know,
I might have to go and go back to the depot and pick one up.
yeah.
So,
Think about it. Yeah, there's a lot of options stuff there. If you guys got a different idea, let us know. Drop it in the
yeah.
comments or take a look at it.
Yep. Yeah. We'll kind of keep an eye on those.
Mhm.
So it's let's see here. Got another question. Greg asks, he's going to HRO, Ham Radio Outlet in Milwaukee, to get my first HF on Saturday. Is the
Ooh,
FTDX10 worth the money
ooh.
over the 7300?
Um,
I'm going to say yes. Yaesu really designed the FTDX10 as the 7300 killer.
mhm.
It's it's their hybrid SDR model.
Right.
So it's like the best of both worlds. The
Yeah.
double conversion super heterodyne and then the software defined radio for all of that extra heavy duty processing.
hmm
And
hmm
don't know if you're familiar with Sherwood Engineering test
I
reports.
literally just pulled that website up while you were talking.
Yeah,
Go on, go on. You
he's
go ahead.
he's the guy that does I mean he tests HF transceivers and he rates them. He ranks
hmm
them according to how sensitive they are.
hmm
And the FTDX10 is like it's like number 2 or number 3 on the list right now, I
Right
think.
now, it's at the top with the
It's
correction.
at the top. Okay, let me see.
But I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna. I think it was it Ham Radio Workbench interviewed Rob Sherwood not too long ago, within the past month, and I love that because it's a 3-hour podcast. Don't
Oh
get me wrong,
wow.
it's a long podcast, and if you want to go off the deep end on a topic, they hit it. But Rob Sherwood said, for the money, the 7300 is the best bang for the buck.
Yes.
It's not as good as the FTDX10, but for the money, because you can get a 7300 for under $1,000 now.
Yep, it's about $1,000.
What's the DX10? It's probably 25.
No. It's about 16,
Is it
17.
16? I'm going to Google
Yeah.
that here. FTDX10.
It's under 2,000.
14. Gigaparts has got it for 14.
Okay.
So there's
Wow.
a $400 difference right now. Let's see what the 7300 is. So the 7300, everyone sells them for the same price. I mean, so the 7300 is listing at 1,200. So it's a $200 difference now.
Yeah. And actually the FTDX10 is number 3. The 101D is number 1, and then the Flex Radio is number 2. So,
Right. And 1, 2, and 3 is a very minuscule difference in that. And you can hear the difference in the receive. Now, and the Sherwood stuff is all just on the receive. Okay, guys?
Correct.
But if you want a radio that is selective and sensitive, this is the list. And he said the top 20, any of those radios is a great radio. Okay, like they're superb. So take that in consideration. Now, just taking a look here, it looks like prices have gone up with inflation. Oh boy, don't even get us going on that topic. The difference is only a couple $100. Play with both of them if you're going to HRO. Find out what you like, man.
Yep. I did that when I bought my FTDX 3000 2 years ago. I went to HRO and I sat down in front of both of the rigs and I looked at the 7300 and I looked at the 3000, and after feeling around a little bit those two rigs, I said, you know what, the 7300 is nice, but the 3000 is the rig for me. So you may find that you may like the user interface of the 7300 better, and that's very, that's justifiable, if that, if that's what you're looking for. But these numbers, these are receiver only numbers, so that doesn't take into account any of the other factors that may
Right.
um,
Right. Yeah, and you got to remember now the 7300 is a 5-year-old design.
mm-hmm.
Okay, the HTDX10 is a little bit newer.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little more partial to Yaesu over ICOM, but that's a personal thing by all means. Don't there's people who will only do ICOM. There's people that only do Kenwood, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But play with it, and me and Michael both picked the FTDX 3000. I was first. Let's just get that clear. But we're both kind of in the same position as a triple het receiver, a good triple het receiver, any day of the week with DSP. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
So, we're cutting hairs. Like, I don't have really great hearing anymore. Could I tell the difference between a Flex and a FTDX10 and a 7300? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
But
And
that
again, like
selectivity and sensitivity, there's something to be considered there, especially if you're a contester and you're looking for DX. So
Yep. Yeah. Just from the peanut gallery here, FTDX10 is a fantastic HF rig. Alan, again, for me, the 10 user experience and menus were not as intuitive for me compared to the 7300. So it's see which one.
People have been saying that about Yaesus for 20 years, that the menus are a little clunky.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one thing to say about them. They are a little clunky, but once you know how to navigate them, and nowadays, because Michael and I both have the FTM 400 and we have the FTDX 3000.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we both have Yaesu HTs. We're so used to the menus now that's almost always in the same order, right?
You start to think like them. So
right.
So all right. Let's see. Christopher asks, is a Yagi antenna for the ISS easy to make? Do I make it a dual band antenna? Is this going to be for the kids to talk to the ISS?
Do you have something scheduled for the ISS? Is my question to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're not usually on at random times anymore and taking calls. Usually you got to have through ARIS have something scheduled with a school or something.
Otherwise, I know they turned the crossband repeater back on.
Oh, they did. That's right.
Yeah, that's been on for a week or so.
If you're going to use the crossband, you can just use a handheld.
Yeah.
3 or 4 Yagi. We've had a couple questions about 2 meter Yagis recently.
Mm-hmm.
I know people working with the Aero Yagi all the time.
The Aero antenna is a dual band Yagi. It's got the 2 meter elements in one phase, and then the 70 centimeter in another phase. So you can and then you need a little combiner to get both of those signals into your handheld. You could certainly make a dual band Yagi, with the same kind of thing, where like I've got those that video for the tape measure Yagi antenna. You can do the 2 meter on one side, and then figure out maybe a 5 element UHF, and then just intersperse those elements in the 2 meter elements. But then you got to bring those. You'd still need some, if you wanted to use one handheld, you'd need some kind of combiner. Otherwise, you're going to have 2 handhelds, one for the UHF band and one for the VHF band, which maybe isn't too bad of an idea, because
and if I remember right, someone can correct me on this. I think it's a 2 meter uplink, 440 down. So realistically, you shouldn't have a problem receiving with a 2 meter Yagi on 440. Alan, thank you very much.
Yep.
So you shouldn't have a problem receiving on 440 with a 2 meter beam.
Mm-hmm.
the question is SWR or transmit. And remember, you have line of sight. The only thing that's between you are clouds, air, and birds. So you should have a pretty good shot at the ISS if you're using either the crossband repeater or the APRS, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, consider that. So that's what I'll say about that. But you probably don't need a 440. If you're going to go buy something, of course, I would recommend the Arrow antenna any day of the week. It's a great design.
Yep, those are good.
But if you're going to make it, have at it. That's the fun thing about amateur radio. Go make it. If you don't like something commercial, go make it. Right?
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, let's see. I'm just going to do a couple of follow-ups. ICOM's best feature is the speed-sensitive tuning knob. That's one thing that drives me batty with my 3000 is the tuning knob.
Too. It's either slow or the little running guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's you can't just get that thing down to a crawl, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So Alan says the best way to operate satellite is to have full duplex radio so you can hear yourself while you're talking. That's why I mentioned full duplex like the FT3DR, otherwise two hand, if you don't have that combiner, two handheld so you can hear in one and speak in the other.
Right.
Then you can.
Yeah, the satellite guys got this down to a science. And if you can make it for the International Space Station, you can make it for satellites too. So keep that in mind. Talk to the satellite guys. What's the name of the satellite group?
Eris.
Not Eris.
No, Eris. AMSAT.
Go to the AMSAT website. They'll tell you everything you need to know. They got all the talk groups and everything as well. Get them up and see what they say about that one.
Yep, exactly. I'm not I haven't done a whole lot with satellites, so that's something I gotta.
We tried once and we failed miserably.
Yeah, I don't know what we were pointing at.
we didn't hear anything. I was like, are we something wrong or something?
Yeah, so I gotta when it gets warmer out and we can stand in a big open field with swinging antennas around, we'll have to do that again. So. Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour, so I just want to we'll take a break here and talk a little bit about our the patrons. Just thank those, because patrons are what help keep the wheels turning on this show, on this channel. So bring up the screen here. Of course, we got a new friend patron, Gary Evans. So thank you for that, and then also our continuing support of our associate producers, Dave White, Paul Sweeney, Dave Hansen, Brian Liebig, Rand Gray, Jack Kelly, and Holger Erlands Peterson. So thank you so much for your continued support. It's really appreciated, because it's these people that really help keep that mission going to inspire and educate the amateur radio community. And you too can become a patron. Just help keep the mission alive at patreon.com/KB9VBR antennas. So, all right.
I think this is like the first or second time in a while that neither of us have a beer in our hand.
No.
So, in full disclosure, I quit drinking beer this year. I still have a glass of wine or something every now and then. But because I'm just getting fat. I'm a big guy normally, but I was like getting fat. Like, I gotta start cutting some stuff out of my diet, guys. Like where the extra calories come from? Quick Trip, beer. I don't know what else, but I cut those two things out, and I think I've lost like 5 or 6 pounds already. So I'm happy about that. I really am.
I know.
Like climbing at work and getting into things. Holy smokes! It feels like it's a little bit easier now. So
that's I know the pandemic's been hard on all of us, and it's you're not as active as you used to be. So
no, you're not. It's hopefully things are starting to get past us here, and we get into the clear, and summer's right around the corner. I mean, I saw stuff sticking up out of the ground just the other day. So,
good deal. So, all right. Let's see. We're gonna move into. All right, Joe. So, when they talk about people being really smart or knowledgeable on the subject, they wrote the book on that subject.
I have
Well,
not written a book on anything.
neither have I, but I do know somebody that has wrote the book on Parks on the Air,
Hey,
and that is Don Dickey, V1W, and this guy, he's on the air all the time. This guy's on the air so much that let me tell you a quick story. So 2 weeks ago, when we were out in Door County, I was getting ready to activate Whitefish Dune State Park and looking around for an open frequency on 20 meters, and I find something that sounds good. So I say, "Is the frequency in use?" And who
because
comes
you
back to
listened
me?
when you were a technician.
Don, Don comes back to me right away and says, "I can hear you loud and clear." As luck would have it, he was just sitting there on this open frequency.
But was he at home or was he out doing a park?
No, he was out at home. He was at home.
Nice.
Just bumming around.
Oh boy.
But Don wrote this book, Successful POTA, Parks on the Air, the WV1W Illustrated Guide to Parks on the Air by Don Dickey, second edition. So if you've seen his first edition that came out about a year or so ago, the second edition is twice as thick. So
Holy smokes.
yeah, it's 100. Yeah, it's like 100, 108, 110 pages of everything that you would want to know about Parks on the Air. And I know some people, they can just jump into it, feet first, head first. Other people may want a little bit of instruction. And for those that like instruction, sometimes just a paper book is a really good thing to have. So in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the book here quick.
We also got the PDF or Kindle version of it too. It's available on Kindle as well.
And that's what I got on the screen here is the PDF version of it. But
we actually got the preview version, guys, because we're special.
So looking at the table of contents, I mean, this has got it tells you everything you need to know. Getting started, rigs, power, antennas, masts, accessories, etiquette, how to do CW, how to do digital, how to go QRP, tricks and tips and everything. It's all in here. I think even in the back he's got a couple sample antennas if you wanted to try to build something. So it's really a good deal.
Yeah, I looked through this the other day, and holy smokes, he really hits on everything. And it's not a lot of technical jargon. No. It's straight to the point. It really covers just about everything, like I said. And for the layman, for the person going out on the first time, I think this is a great buy, really.
Yep. Exactly. Here's a picture of Don himself. So sitting at a nice park bench.
I've been at a park bench pretty similar.
So it's it's a excellent book. And you can find it on his website there. So we'll just I'm just going to pull that up here quick. Let's see if I can get to it. WV1W US. If you order it off the website and use coupon code VBR, you get a 10% discount, which is a really good deal. So
there you go. No, really, I looked at this, and I'm not a book reader by any means, but if you've never done POTA or you've done a couple activations and you've had a real hard time, read this book. It's worth the $15. Oh,
50, 14, yeah, paperback's $14.95.
Yeah. Your Kindle
Ebook
is
or
$8.
Kindle,
Yeah,
750.
$20.
Save
So we
10.
even sign it for you.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It's
It
worth
really is.
every penny. $20 is
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
You know, that's not even
And
an inflated price right there.
yep. And Dave actually says it's free for newbies, or Don says it's free for newbies. So free ebook for the newly licensed ham.
There you go.
If you get your pass your technician, you're interested in Parks on the Air, drop down a line, and get a free ebook.
You
So
know,
it's
this past weekend, or past 2 weekends, I taught a technician class,
mhm.
and 5 for 5, all 5 of them passed their technician. I'm real proud of that. So I'm going to tell them. I'm going to send the email.
Tell
A
them
couple of them talk about Parks on the Air, and
yeah.
we'll get them all signed up.
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked. I remember. Yeah, that's one of the things. So get them hooked up, because it's it's 100 pages. It's a lot of pictures in here, so it reads really fast. You can sit down in an evening and
There's
just
no
totally
math.
digest it.
I did not
No.
see one formula at all. No calculus, no trigonometry, guys. So this is the book you need.
Yeah. So so there we go. Successful POTA by Don Dickey, WV1W, and I don't know how many times I've worked Don, and Don's worked me, and whatnot. So it's the guy knows it. He knows his stuff. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, and a couple more testimonials. Met Don at a POTA outing last spring, and he learned a bunch from him. So. Don says spoke with KBR with me, just yesterday from a park. Yeah, I sat down at the radio yesterday morning, and I heard him. I got a nice conduit into Connecticut. So if Don's working a Connecticut park, I can usually pick him up 5'9". It's
Come on, the best you can do at 891 is at 5'7". Okay.
Don's book saved me a ton of time.
Yep.
So it's you can't get any better testimonials than that.
Absolutely. No, I looked through it today, and it's got everything. It really does.
Yeah.
And so if you have problems, or you know what, you just want to try something different, he really does cover it. Except Don, you don't cover the FT 897 in it. I'm really heartbroken. Maybe edition 3.
Well, I think
for
he's got.
I could be a helper on this. Cut me in a little bit. I'm just kidding.
Len says it's worth its weight in gold. A lot of great tips. So a lot of people know about this book already, which is great to hear. So. And Don says, yeah, we've had 15 QSOs. Holy smokes.
Holy smokes. I don't think I've talked to you 15 times on the radio, Michael.
I don't think so. No, not really. So, well, Don, maybe we can make it 16. I'm going to go hit a park tomorrow. So it's. Oh.
Don says, send me an 897. I'll write about it. I ain't sending you my 897. You can pry it from my cold, dead hands.
A lot of people say that. So
that's the most expensive radio I've bought, because I had to send it in because it was broken when I got it. I paid too much to begin with, but I love it.
It is a very nice rig.
Yeah,
I've used it a couple times, so it's
for portable radio. The old 897s are just beasts. They're great radios, and the thing is about them is that we always talk about, well, how much current do they use? How much, they transmit? We know they pull 15, 20 amps.
Yeah.
But the 897, because it's got such a small screen, it doesn't pull a lot of current while just sitting there and you're listening. So it really helps with keeping the battery power going.
Yep. Yeah, it is. That's one of the bad things with the 891 is it pulls on standby. It pulls nearly an amp. And I know, your 897 does a lot less than that. So
right, yeah.
Okay. Moving on here. So yeah, like I said, if you're interested in the book, 10% discount, code VBR at checkout. So save yourself a buck. Let's see. Adam asks, I wonder if Joe teaches a general class and would put it on YouTube.
Yeah, I have taught the general class a couple of times. We taught an extra once. That nearly led to my divorce.
Oh, the extra did, yes.
Oh, I was, because I passed my extra, and 2-3 years later, like, well, we need to have an extra class. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. No one else volunteered to help me. So every week I had to go through the topics and I had to relearn it, not learn it just enough to pass it, but to understand it. Holy smokes. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. But out of the 6 that took the class, 5 passed. So
well, that's really good.
I
Yeah.
was pretty psyched about that. So, but no, I do a general. I haven't done it in a few years because of COVID. We just did our first technician class in 2.5 years. I thought
2 years, yeah, probably 2 years. I think yeah,
right.
because we did one right before the pandemic started.
Well, literally, when shutdown hit was the test weekend, and
Yeah.
we decided to hold the test because we didn't know how long everyone else had canceled, and we were kind of on like the day of, like, should we have it? Should we not? But we had people sign up from like 2-3 hours away driving up for it. Like, they're already on the way. We can't cancel it.
That was a big,
Fortunately, everyone
yeah,
was okay.
yeah,
In all
yeah.
seriousness. But yeah, there was 2 years where we didn't do anything. It's finally we're getting back into the groove of things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, yep.
I talked about doing a general this weekend, thinking about fall, thinking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, I think that'll be out there, and YouTube, that's a possibility. We've discussed it before, so we'll see.
Yeah, let's see.
Dead
Jason,
silence.
I just sorry, I'm trying to work my mouse here. So yeah, we gotta have to get the we'll get that that general class going again. So I know, and we've been talking, personally about doing something online. So
Yeah, because we've noticed that someone took a bunch of their videos and put them behind a paywall. Not
mm-hmm.
going to say who, but we've noticed that.
Yep, I think a lot of people have noticed that. So
we think that the information's all out there. There's no reason to pay for it. So
yeah. Just gonna quickie here. Jason says the promo code doesn't work on the paperback link on Amazon. So I don't know if Don, if you wanna, if you're still in the chat there, if you can interface with Jason there and help him out.
I think you got to purchase it through the website. I think he said, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think the website. It looks like the website took you to a. I don't know if that takes you to a Amazon link or what. So, oh, I see what you got to do. Okay, so, Jason, if you're listening, go to the website, and if you scroll down where it says got a coupon, there's the links for the buy now, and then there's another link below that. It says got a coupon code, click here. So go use that, click on, just go back to the web page and find that link that says got a coupon code, click there, and it should work. Oh, he found it. So good work.
Excellent.
So okay. We gotta throw in another quick question here, and then we're gonna let's see, move on to something. Yeah, Joe teaches it. Adam asks, would the Radioddity GS5B be an upgrade to a Baofeng or BTEC in the HT realm, or have it hooked up to a Comet SB5 antenna? I think, boy, those all three of those handhelds are pretty much in the same price class. I don't know if one's going to be outperform the other.
Yeah, they probably come out of the same assembly factory. Just saying.
Different.
However, the Radioddity stuff, I think I have a little more respect. Hold on.
Yeah.
Get my snob nose up. Anything better than a bow fang.
Hmm.
Maybe. So yeah, I can't even do it. I just can't do it.
Just can't do it.
There's nothing I can say about a bow fang that'll make me like change my mind about it. Go get the radiolity, please.
The B-Techs are nice. The B-Techs are decent. I've got a couple of them. They seem to be a little bit more
Yeah,
stable than the Baofeng is.
yeah.
So.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't say anything nice about bow fang. I really can't. I get it. They're a gateway drug. For $30, $15 for the battery. Buy another battery. It's $15 for the battery. Well, how much does a radio actually cost? I don't know.
Yep.
They're
Well, I
just
think your first radio was a Baofeng.
yeah. I've had 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I
I
really
got a
have.
couple too. So
I've given them all away. I really don't. And I understand. Either it's the first thing you're just getting anything, and I completely respect that. One of the people that took my tech class this past weekend actually emailed me today and said, "What do I get first?" And I said, "Well, just take your time." I actually said, "Come on over. I got a radio you can borrow for a while to get on the air. But figure out what you want first." But for $30, I mean, that's a half a tank of gas for me. That's not even a half a tank right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So go out and try it. It gets you on the air, right? I just, so you buy $30 in the radio, then you got to get a programming cable for 15. Then you probably need an extra battery, right? Yeah, so that's another $20 right there. Now you're at about $70 already. So, it's a gateway drug.
There you go.
And then you're going to buy a
Yeah.
new antenna for it, right? So you're gonna pull off the rubber duck on it. You can get like a Nagoya, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants a Nagoya on there or something, or a signal stick.
The signal
Signal
sticks are
stick
good
works
too.
great.
Yeah.
I just got one I got a replacement one this week because my first one burnt up in the fire. I had bought it 3 days before the fire, right? So you go and buy something else from Nagoya, signal stick, MFJ, whatever. They're all better than a rubber duck.
Yeah, yeah.
And next thing you know, you're at $100 already for a bow thing. Then someone says, "Well, how much you got into that?" Well, I spent about $100 on a bow thing.
It's always the accessories. Oh, gee.
That's where they get you. It's like when you go to the hardware store, they sell you the paint at cost. No one knows this. The paint is what it costs for a gallon. It's the brushes, it's the rollers, it's the masking tape, everything else. That's where they get you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So crazy stuff. Moving on, I saw something on the ARRL website today that said that I'm going to pull up the screen here quick if I can get my mouse to come back to me. Share our screen. There we go. Hey, there we go. Find it right.
All of a sudden, I got real big for a second.
Oh, volunteer monitor program cautions against operating beyond license privileges. And this is a problem. I've noticed this. I was cruising along the dial today and I saw somebody parked right at 14,350.
Ooh.
Right on the top of the 20-meter band.
And they were working the upper side band, weren't they?
Yeah, upper side band. So yeah, many advisory notices sent out each month from the ARL volunteer monitor program go to stations heard operating outside of the operator's license privileges. And typical cases involved operators holding technician or general class amateur license being heard on a frequency or band not permitted in their license privilege.
Yeah.
A lot of the incidents have been entailed FT8 digital mode operations by technicians in 20 and 40 meters. And which they don't have those, which technicians don't have FT8 privilege on either of those bands. But they can operate CW, and we'll pull up some charts here in a second. And then also another spot was that generals not knowing where their band edges are. That was another spot that that's generated a lot of these warning notices. So let's pull up I'm going to get rid of this, and maybe what we'll do is pull up some band charts. So, and just kind of, I guess, sort of point out some things here. And so the hot spots, a lot of times when I see people working is in the where right on the edge of the band is either on the 40-meter band or on the 20-meter band. So, if we go over to 40 meters, a lot of times what you see is the general allocation, starts at 7.175 or 7175 kilohertz,
Right.
and it ends at 7300. And to be safe, if you're a general and you want to stay in this phone portion, to be safe, you need to be you should be 3 kilohertz away from the band edge.
Right.
So 7178 or 7297 should be as high as you go.
Well, you could go almost up to 7300 because you're working lower, but remember your carrier extends up as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 7299 is probably pushing it a little bit. But here's the thing. Whether you take your tech, your general, or your extra, there are questions on that. It's covered in all three tests, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something new. And every month the volunteer monitor program puts out what they've done for the month, what sort of notices they put out for the month. And every month for the past 5 or 6 months, I've always seen band edge stuff or technicians or generals working outside of their privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. I get it. Everyone wants to do FT8. That's what everyone's doing right now. It's easy.
And notice
But they're
here,
going to catch you. They are going to catch you. And the first time or two, you'll get a letter saying, third or fourth time, you're going to get a letter from a government agency that starts with the letter F, right?
mm-hmm.
And they're going to say, no, sir. And
it's not going to be the friendly communications.
No, it's not going to be friendly. And I'm starting to see more and more where they're saying that license renewals are being held up because of this stuff. So they're taking a lot of action.
Yeah.
So the idea of we're just police ourselves, no one's really listening. Baloney. You're going to get caught, guys. It's just getting to that point where the BMs are looking for it. And if they're even sending out a letter for it now, listen, because they're going to really start nailing people soon, I think.
Yep. And if you look here on the 40-meter band, novice and technicians do have access between 7.025 and 7125 CW, but there's a dead spot here. Well, outside of Region 2, they don't. Region 2, they do. But that does not include FT8. So
right. That's CW only, guys.
CW only.
Right.
And there's technicians have no privileges on the 20-meter band, of course.
Right.
They do on the 15-meter band. They've got CW only on 15-meter band.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the 20-meter band, or 10-meter band here, you've got full privileges on 10 meters between 28 and 28.5 megahertz. So phone
on 10 meters, you can run FT8. You can.
Correct.
The only thing you really can't do on 10 meters is FM.
Yeah. Yep. Correct. And you've got plenty of space for phone operations. Most of the phone stuff happens below 28.5 anyway, just for that reason. And then you can do anything you want.
Mhm.
CW, data, image, all on the 10-meter band with technicians. So it's
Yeah.
so a couple of
Main thing is just watch out because they are going after people now. And you don't need to lose your license over something silly. If you need to upgrade, there's plenty of resources out there, guys. It's not. I tell everyone the general is not that hard.
Nope.
Put a little more effort into it, and you guys put some effort into the tech. I mean, everyone puts some tech because you're completely new, completely naive when you walk into a tech test because you've not been on the air, you've not spent any time. You walk into the general, well, you've been on the air for a while now. You kind of know the operating thing. So the general, after being a technician operator for a while, should be a little easier, right? It's the extra that really hands it to you there. But the
I
general,
think,
after wait a year or maybe 6 months, a year after you've done some operating, the general shouldn't be that bad.
I was going to say, I think of all of the tests that I've administered for a technician upgrading to general that have waited 3 to 6 months after they've taken their tech,
Mhm.
they've all passed. I don't
Right.
think I've ever seen somebody fail
Yep.
jumping up from technician to general if they've waited 3 to 6 months to kind of get their feet wet a little bit.
Mhm.
Of course, of course, we always give the new tech the general test, and that's
Mhm.
probably I'd say probably 10% make it through that,
Exactly. Exactly.
but if once you get on the air and get your feet wet, it seems like everybody that comes in wanting to get their general passes their generals. So
Right.
it's
Yeah. And the stuff is still fresh in your mind. You just
yeah.
took 3 to 6 months, or you just took the tech,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you just keep rolling along. It's not that hard to get the general.
No, it's not.
So don't don't do what's going on here. This is some stuff
Mhm.
that someone's going to get hit real hard on this real soon, and it's not going to be a pleasant sight. So
Yep.
remember, the FCC starts at $10,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it really worth it? It's a hobby.
So the band's designed to encourage you to upgrade. Just do it. Um, and the extra portion is quieter for a reason. Less possible operators to contact. So I once
I,
started
I go ahead.
I once started an activation. I was mindlessly looking for a spot on the 40-meter band, and it was a busy weekend, and somehow I ended up down below. That's like around 7160 or something, 7165, and it's like, why is nobody coming back to me? And then I realized, oh yeah, I'm in the extra portion. So after about a dozen or so contacts, I moved up to general, and then it was then the floodgates opened.
Right. In any contest weekend, the general
Yeah.
portion is just annihilated, and usually the extra and advanced portions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, they give us that extra bandwidth there because it is a little bit clearer. It's not everyone is there. We can have some
And there's
QSOs because of that,
and a
and
lot of the DX windows happen down there too.
especially
So
in 40 meters because
yeah.
regions 1 and 3 only go up to 7,200.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I listen a lot. I really, really do. And I go down that lower portion of 20 meters and I hear some great conversations and I hear some technical stuff that you just don't find anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old turn on 160 at night sometimes 160 kind of gets a little it's the doctor frequency, right? Everyone's got their own version of a
Yep.
cue.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But when guys start talking about, technical stuff and they start trying to troubleshoot some stuff, you can really listen in and just learn a lot, just being a fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm. So 10 meters wide open for techs. In fact,
Absolutely.
Don, I worked Don on 10 meters last summer moved up to 10, got like 3 contacts on 10, and then I dropped down to the 17 meter band, and I worked the same 3 people on 17. So, let's see. Alan asks, does the 891 have a setting for RF gain, and how do you like to adjust it to decrease noise? It does. It's the I got my 891 sitting right here. The volume knob, and then below the volume knob is your RF gain. So it's the inner knob on that where the AF gain is. AF gain, RF gain are on the same stack of knobs there. So it's so yeah, it does have RF gain, and then I think also Don says you can turn that. There's also the 891's got an RF amplifier preamp. It's called IPO, or internet intercept point something, or something like that. So yeah, you can adjust the RF gain. If you're, I've seen some people, and I've done this too, where you kind of crank the AF gain, the volume down, and you turn the RF gain up in order to try to adjust that signal to noise ratio. If you're trying to pull out a weak station, that works really well until somebody strong comes in and just like totally blast your eardrums.
Right. Usually the RF gain is always cranked, all the way down.
It's always cranked up. So,
but then but there's a time where you really do want to crank that down a little bit, especially if you got some people that are really loud around you. And that
Exactly. So, all right. I think we've kind of went through most of our questions. Oh, we did have one here that I was gonna pop up on the. We were talking about Bruce sent me a message, and what is the optimum number of directors for a portable Yagi for the 2 meter band?
How many do you want to
carry? I know your tape measure Yagi has 1 director. What are the benefit of making one with possibly 2 or 3? He says, trade-offs of length and weight, but is there a trade-off for a more directional Yagi? So basically, I mean, the more directors you add, the more, the greater the gain, but actually the more concentrated the signal is going to be.
The more narrower your beam width is.
Yeah, your beam width. Yeah, your lobe is tighter, so you've got a much narrower beam width, and that's good. That if you're trying to say do a VHF point, from point A to point B, and they're miles and miles apart, but carrying an antenna like that's going to be quite cumbersome. I think our club's got like an 11 element beam, and that thing's like 10 feet long.
I have a 13 element beam sitting in the basement here. It's in 3 pieces, guys.
Yeah.
So it gets the beam width gets narrower, and your gain increases, but it gets heavier too. So you're saying for a portable Yagi, 3 is a pretty good number. Maybe add a second director, so you have 4 elements total. I want to go much more than that. The Arrow antenna's only got 3, right?
Yeah.
Most of the tape measure Yagis you see out there have 3 as well. So I don't really think you need much more than that. Maybe a 4th one if you want to squeeze one in there, but you got the extra weight and it's longer. So
gain wise, though, it's a 3 element Yagis are going to be there's about 5 to 7 dB, and I think a 4 element's only going to give you maybe about another 1-2 dB. So it's
not that much difference.
Not that much difference. You get a much tighter lobe if that's what you're looking for. Greater nulls off to the sides. But you're foregoing the convenience of being able to carry it. So,
right.
Had another person ask me, I like to I'm trying like heck to find information on how far you can reliably communicate with 2 meter sideband, say rolling hills and an antenna like 6 feet high, not just 2 people at the 2 highest hills in the area. So anybody have any estimates? And, This is a question I get, not necessarily
Yeah.
with sideband, but this is a question I get all the time on how far can two people talk VHF point A to point B,
Mhm.
be it with a handheld or with the two base stations or anything, or a mobile and a base
How
or
complicated do
whatnot.
you want to make it? Really? It's really the
And
function,
it,
right?
it and it boils down to, your effective range really depends on three things: on your antenna height, transmit power, and your average terrain.
Mhm.
Those three things. And a lot of times people don't, it's, they'll ask me how far can I transmit, and it says I don't know, because I don't know what your terrain is like. Is it flat, or is it hills? Is it mountainous? Are you stuck in a valley or something like
Right.
that? So
If you're on hills, it ain't going to travel very far. I can tell you that.
no,
At the
no.
bottom. If you're closer to the top of the hills, well, then you got a chance.
Mm-hmm. And a couple handheld radios, it's 1-2 mile, a couple miles, maybe a little bit less if you're in an urban setting. If you can get up, but then if you can increase your antenna height, that makes all the difference. A couple base stations or mobile radios, maybe you can, with average terrain, you could probably talk 10-15 miles with it on
Right.
VHF. So
Right.
it's
We had two real cheap. Were they 440 or they're actually GMRS or were they FRS radios that we tried this once?
well, we
We were
tried
on
two
two
meter
hilltops.
handhelds from mountaintop to mountaintop.
Right.
Is that what you're
And,
thinking?
right. Oh yeah. Were they 2 meter handheld? Okay, they were.
Yeah.
And we were about 40 miles apart on the two tallest points in Wisconsin, and we could barely crack the squelch. Okay.
Yes.
But those are like 2.5 watt handhelds, I think they were. They weren't a full 5, but that really doesn't make too much of a difference, I don't think. Um, so anyone says they can go 40 miles with two handhelds, I want to see that to believe it. That was FM though. You don't really have sideband handhelds anymore. Um, and
No.
usually, if you're running sideband, you're usually using a Yagi of some sort. So
Mm-hmm.
that gives you a little more gain forward. 40 miles would probably be relatively easy then at that point, but with the
Yep.
handhelds, no. So yeah, it really
Exactly.
comes down to the three things: power, heights, and height above average terrain.
As Kurt says, height is might. That
Absolutely.
makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the most common answer is really it depends. One thing you can kind of model. You can if you go to a website called Radio Mobile, VE2DBE, it's got this nice little online tool that you can enter your coordinates, some specs about your antenna, its height, its whatnot, power, and it'll do the calculations and make surface projections. I don't think he's got any pictures of that on his on his site or not. Nope. Yeah, but yeah, this is where I send a lot of people to if they ask me, how far can I transmit? And I says, well, you can you can do the math, and that'll kind of tell you, give you an estimation of what your coverage would be based on your um, actual location. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And
hmm
so I think Alan put there 1,500 feet above sea level. Well, that's great, but we're talking about a height above average terrain,
yeah,
which is going to calculate. So if you're at 1,500 feet, but average terrain is like 1,200 feet, you're really not that much higher. Especially if you got stuff in the way as well. So
hmm hmm exactly. So, little follow up question. Kurt asks: is C4 FM simplex a thing for POTA parks on the air? Um, maybe, but probably not. I don't. It's, if you think you can make contacts with people, on C4 FM, that go for it. You typically, I've seen people do 2 meter activations, and
they're usually struggling.
yeah, unless you're on a mountaintop. If you're
Right.
if you're if you're doing like a combination POTA soda thing, then
Mhm.
2 meter FM works wonders. So
Right.
if you're in a situation like that where you can, height as might, get a really good vantage point, you can, give it a shot. See if anybody's on there. You never know until you try. So,
Yeah.
but
If you're
also,
going to do that, make sure you advertise it. Make sure you spot yourself
yep.
somewhere.
Also do 2-meter simplex. Try the calling frequency. If you want to do a little bit of 2-meter there, but usually the people that are successful with a 2-meter park sunny air activation or soda activation they're on a summit. They're on a mountaintop.
They're on a hill and they're in a rather populated area too.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, all right. Well, Joe, we're getting towards the end of things here, and
well, you know what that means, guys.
What could it mean?
I don't know. I'm sure you probably got some fancy sort of segue to get into it, though, right?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Well, we're gonna kick the elephant in the room here and see what happens, boys and girls. Big elephant. You know what really grinds my gears today? Vladimir Putin.
I think he's grinding everybody's gears
I think
today.
he ground every gear in the gearbox this month. Well, let's take it from an amateur radio perspective.
Yes.
We've seen these video or these pictures. The common Ukrainians being handed guns. From their government saying, to defend their homeland, to defend their homes, defend everything that they have. Like, this is not 1940. This is 2022. This is 80 years since World War II, and we're seeing an invasion. That's really scary. From a ham radio perspective, Russia's invading a country with people that are armed with Baofengs. Holy smokes! I understand that Baofeng is all over the place, but like all these guys have for communications, some are these cheap $30 Chinese radios, and they're holding their own.
They are.
Am I actually helping Baofeng here? I don't know. I feel kind of dirty about this all of a sudden, but to the Ukrainian people, and my neighbor is Ukrainian. She has family that lives over there. Our hearts are out for you guys. This is not what anyone needs to be dealing with. To our Russian friends out there, we understand this is not you. We don't hold this against you at all. But this has got to stop. We're beyond this. We're really beyond this. And all things aside, what the United States have done in the past 20, 30 years, you can make some arguments about some of that stuff too. But yeah, you hate to see it. You really do. So keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. We've heard from our friends at Rig Expert. They're trying to move their production outside of the Ukraine temporarily so they can meet their production goals. But they're in the same situation while they're trying to move their business. Their families are
their families are disrupted. They've got employees that went to the front lines.
Right. So. Absolutely. This is not going to end good. I don't think. No, it's really not. So remember the Ukrainians. If you hear a Ukrainian station on the air, they're risking their lives right now. There are some frequencies that I believe the IRU is holding for relief efforts. Let's keep those open. Let's not only be courteous to our Ukrainian friends, but be courteous to our Russian friends out there. I know some people are talking about the big contest this weekend. Should you contact Russian stations or not? That choice is up to you. But no, those people on the Russian stations aren't the one who are picking this fight. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're all in this together. So, in all honesty, it grinds my gears, but it's a little bit more than a fancy intro there. Let's take a step back. This is not World War III. Both Michael and I lived through the Cold War.
Yes,
this is like
we have.
Cold War, right? Like, someone's insinuating something, and all the nukes are armed at each other. Yeah, just take a step back. First time, boys. You've seen that meme, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I remember. I vividly remember the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of
Yep.
communism because I was in college at the time,
Yep. I
and
remember it.
that was also the same time of Desert Storm. Man, what a time to be in school.
Ooh,
But
yeah. The first time
oh,
we
that
went out after Saddam, right? Yeah.
that's when I was getting a little freaky because I'm 20. I'm in college. I'm 20 years old, and they're talking about, oh, are they gonna have to draft some people here for this?
No,
But
that went pretty quick.
no, it's we didn't,
Right.
and I don't think the U.S. is going to go back to a draft anytime soon.
No,
The
but
Ukrainians, I think they're fortunate in that mandatory military service is more of a common thing in the Russian and the Eastern European countries. So
yep.
it's a lot of those people that have stood up and taken up arms have had military experience. So it's
So, yeah, just remember, they are friends. We're all in
yeah.
this one ham radio family together. Let's hope for a peaceful outcome.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to view Putin right here. Oh,
Yeah.
we're no longer PG, are we? Don't believe it. I wanted to use a different word, but I did it.
I think once that bumper hits, all bets are off.
Oh, you added this flavor too. Well, thank you. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh. Well, Don says he's got one of his other books is a Cold War novel. So if you go to his website to check out the POTA book, well, I might have to look at his Cold War book. So it's Tom Clancy's Red Storm Rising. There you go.
Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
Hunt for Red October. Oh.
But that's the one where he has Soviet forces just marching across all of the through the Eastern Bloc into the NATO countries.
Right.
It's interesting book written in the 80s. So we were we were living through some pretty crazy times back then. So and we'll make it through this. We'll make it through this one too.
First time, boys. You millennials.
Yeah, we just got some general agreements. So there, and a few more thanks. Thanks Kurt for stopping by, and the same with Scott. Thanks for stopping by today. It's we always like to see new faces that come up into the live stream here. So, but I think like I said, we're towards the end of things, and unless you want to just sit and talk, but I think what we'll do is
we'll get kicked off YouTube. That's pretty good.
Our next live stream, I think I don't even have the date written down here.
Oh boy, get the calendar out.
Always the first Thursday in April, 7 o'clock, or first Thursday of the month, 7:00 p.m. So in April, that would be the April 7th.
So no April Fool's show, guys.
Oh.
Just
unfortunately. So see you guys on the air. See you, Don. Well, maybe we'll talk to you tomorrow when I get on the air. And
remember that the Wisconsin QSO party is coming up in a week.
2 weeks. 1 week. A week from Sunday.
Week from Sunday.
So it's March 13th. So I'll be on the air on that. I don't know if I'm going to go mobile or if I'm going to go hang with the club or if I'm going to sit at home. I haven't decided yet.
Sit in the bunker?
Sit in a bunker. It depends if I can get my hustler whip rehabilitated. So.
Right.
And I think that's about it. So, thanks everybody for stopping by. Hope to see you again next month. It's been a pleasure. This was a we had a really good show today. A lot of great comments.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate the comments. Remember our Patreon page as well. We'll be splitting this video up shortly, and you'll start seeing that plus a bunch of new videos as well. And
lots of stuff.
Spring is starting to come around here in Wisconsin, so we'll be out and about shortly.
Yeah. We'll have to do one outdoors when the snow melts. So
Right.
with
a fire
that,
pit.
with the run a fire pit. There we go.
There we go.
So thanks a lot, everybody. With that, I'm Michael, KB9VBR.
And I'm Joe, 89 CJX 73.
73. Have a great evening.